Good morning. After a almost 90 days rest, a long pause, this is the second initiative that I am doing with my last few years, plus the longer terms since 1974 during my educational years at the Wisconsin or the University of Wisconsin at Platteville, during my master's program, where I have created the system called the 3 Cs, which stands for communication dynamics, about people communicating, the cultural sphere, the ambience between the counselor and the party that I do the counseling with, students and private, and then the communication Analytica, which will give me and my students and my clients to do a little bit of a sharing of to see and to review what we have discussed and what are the points that we can make modification. Since 1975, 76, my wife and I, Kathy, had taken a different turn where we have was not happy about the system and not being able to find a doctoral program to host my latest development with the 3 Cs. And we've decided to move ahead and gone into business. But we have never neglected our work and our commitment to this new ideas and new concept in psychology. So after this long pause, as of this year, we have reinitiated with added input, the added study during my 45 years, which is international business, continuing very much involving in the use of my languages. Again, I'm repeating, I was born in Shanghai, raised in Hong Kong and Macau, with my mother, who's Cantonese. My father is from Zhejiang, Yuyao, the same town. You'll hear more about the Chinese philosopher, academician named Ming, which has a lot of influence in this segment of my work, or the second phase about communications, about human psychology and counseling. So my Chinese linguistic skills were developed in other videos I've not commented. I speak Cantonese. I have a strong grasp of the Shanghai dialects. I left Shanghai when I was 5 years old. I have enough hearing skills, have acquired the grasp. And between Mandarin and Cantonese, and now we can speak the Chinese common language called Putonghua or the Mandarin. These are the different names of the Chinese language. And with my upbringing from Brazil, with the education from the Salesians, the Roman Catholic Salesians, we were baptized under the mission of the non-Italian Jesuits, Matteo Ricci in Macau, and then I had started to going to school to the Salesians order, which is again as an Italian order, started from Turin in the 1800s, in the First World War, where the creator Don Bosco or Giovanni Bosco had created the kind of schooling ambience from the many orphans, the war orphans. And from that departure of the Salesianos had spread out into Asia, in the Philippines, Thailand, Hong Kong, Macau, plus others. And I have a very rich educational system where also I have acquired my added linguistic skill, which had influenced me a great deal in the future engagement with the Romance language, Latin language, which is the Gregorian chant and the Latin Mass, as serving Mass, and you have to have a good command of the use of the Latin, at least in its pronunciation at the time, may not have my knowledge about the content. But nevertheless, I was in Macau between 52 and 62, and after that, my family had moved to Brazil. And from Brazil, where I continue on with the education with the Salesians in boarding school, in the school name called Colégio São Joaquim, located in Lorena, in the state of São Paulo, which is halfway between São Paulo and Rio, and 250 kilometers in each way, and right in the half near the town called Guaratinguetá, or in Aparecida do Norte, in the valley, so-called the Valley de Paraíba. This, by the way, this recording, I would do another take in Portuguese and one more take in Cantonese, and hope this development, this cross-cultural life experience and the multiple language will have acquired from the Chinese to Spanish, Portuguese, and doable Italian, and read and write. Read mostly French, because also my father had gone to Sorbonne, and he was one of the many Chinese patriots who gone on to France before to give aid to China, the modernization of China. And so my father's fluency in French and in Portuguese had a lot of influence of our upbringing in Brazil and the engagement with the life experience I have. What I want to speak of in this segment of my presentation, where I have developed the 3C during my days in college, during my master's program. In fact, I was seeking for a doctoral program to host the 3C stands for communication dynamics, basically people talking, sharing. And the second C is the ambience, the environment where we are sharing, namely is the college ambience, and the next 4 years, the orientation, very, very basic. I can put in today's terms, because the academic advising plus the interpersonal communication, counseling, or psychology, that provision of the academic orientation, in today's terms, I can call it the college success survival class logistics. It's very simple. Take myself, for example, as a freshman coming into college in 1968, to go to classes, to have your time management, to go to different classes and space of time, and to moving from class to class with a 10-minute break, and to take in the time and organization to your dinner, lunch in different region, plus for an athlete, where I got my brand because my swimming record in Brazil in 1964, and I swam, bragging a little bit, I swam next to Mark Spitz during those years when I was a member of the club called Hebraica, and they had it's an ethnic Jewish, and they had the Maccabea. And so the whole series of experience, and not trying to be overly showing off, but in the history of Brazil, where I was the first ethnic Chinese who had beaten the record in the state of São Paulo in 50-meter breaststroke, which basically is a national record. And in 64, and I was invited to join the Brazilian national team in 68 Olympics. However, that was only my second year into Brazil, and I just accept the fact that I will not be able to represent Brazil because of my early residence in Brazil. But in that event of the swimming, looking back, had given me on my application to the colleges, and I was accepted by UW Plateau and given a 4-year grant. And so it's very much a part of if you call it record, in a spirit of documenting what I have accomplished as a teenager, and also I played sports in Lorena and known in the valley of Paraíba, which is some 50, 60 small towns, and we compete with different systems, even though we're junior high status. But our last year of a gymnasium, which is equivalent to a ninth grade in North America here. So we are basically the first year into high school. And we had quite an accomplishment in the Collège de Saint-Joachim with our basketball team, in and around the cities, with people knowing us of our spirited basketball game. Not well trained, but we're moving great speed. We become basically winning all our games in that 2 years period from 64 after my swimming to 75 when I graduated from this solution school. And also that school's influence had got me most spirited to want to join this religious order, not because of religion and faith, it's because my curiosity, the ethnic resilience of the language, the indigenous language, basically we know about Tupi and Guarani, but if we come to know the history of the Salesians missions in Brazil, was very extensive. Later on, I have my mentor, best friend, another ethnic Chinese, become the bishop, known as the Bispo dos Índios, is Don Song, S-O-N-G, who had me guided, directed about going to the post-gymnasium, the post-junior high school, if I want to attend to a high school with the Salesians order, and which I was totally embraced, and eventually Song, at that time in Lorena, already in the faculty of the Salesians faculty. It's called Faculdade Salesiana. Today is the Unisal, University of Salesians of my school, plus the Faculdade Salesiana at that time. Eventually, he went on to Rome, became the bishop, and stationed in São Gabriel de Cachoeira, the last major Brazilian city located north of the Amazons, 70 kilometers south of the line equator, where I went on in this particular trip to tidying into the Salesians, indigenous study, and I was willing to join the order in 1965. Again, it's because the curiosity of the language of the region, some 30 plus ethnic Indians, and there was another common language we call the lingua geral, created by the Jesuits. It's called the Ninkatu. And that was another attraction to me, to head back to the Amazons to visit Don Songi. And we have just discovered in 2008 that Songi had Parkinson's. And after our visit, my stay for 6 weeks, like a retreat, in and amongst the clergy, the nuns, and the visit to the different tribes, to Tucanos, Pare, and even to the Yanomamis. It was a great journey, great trip, and the curiosity of the language called Ninkatu. Again, the collective exposure, wanting to be with the Salesians order in 1965, but as my mother said at that